From a technical standpoint, beyond a certain threshold carrier frequency, sharing the spectrum becomes somewhat easier because, first of all, the propagation characteristics are such that interference doesn't carry that far. So if you're operating at very high bands, for example, it turns out that even if I do end up transmitting to you, I don't tend to interfere with someone else who's further out there at these higher bands. So the higher bands are actually naturally more amenable to spectrum sharing, and we can bring in different techniques over there as well. As you go into the much lower bands, so for example below 1 gigahertz and so on, it gets a little tricky. I mean, you can still do it, but it gets a little tricky because then you have to worry about interference propagation that's way beyond. And so there is always a threshold carrier frequency above which sharing becomes easy. And 2 gigahertz, I mean, we have spectrum sharing in 2.4 gigahertz. That's probably right about the sweet spot. There's a lot more that we can do above that, and that's what we are doing right now. In the 3.5 gigahertz in the US, in the CBRS band, the 5 gigahertz band, and then as we go into the higher bands as well. 60 gigahertz is another example where there's already some sort of sharing that's going on.